All right. Let's see. When you go to today's Moodle page, you're going to download, first of all, the newsletter pictures. When you click on it, it'll ask you, it's a zip file. It's a file that contains multiple smaller files. You mainly want to choose Archive Utility. That's how it's going to open it up as. I'll hit OK. And it's in my Downloads folder. There it is right there. So I'll just drag this one. Oh, already exists. Let's stop it. Already got a folder called. Oh, there it is right there. So, and these are the 4 different ones that you want to choose from. These are the photographs we're going to put into today's newsletter. And also the page information. This is the text that we'll use for the newsletter. By default, it will open in TextEdit, or if you have Microsoft Word, you can use that as well. I'll just save the file for now and play OK. And we'll put that onto our desktop as well. Cool. Let's jump into InDesign, set up a document, and see how we want it to be. This is what it's going to look like. First of all, it's a 2-page document. It's going to have multiple columns to it, and so I'll show you how you can set up these predefined columns. And also it's going to have some text, it's going to have pictures, and these pictures are going to have wrapping around it so that the text will flow around it as well. We did that briefly in a previous project. This will help you do that as well. And we're going to divide everything into columns. So let's close this down. File, create a new document. For this one, we want the number of pages to be 2. The size of it, letter 8.5 by 11. But here's one more thing we want to do. We want it to automatically divide up the page into a set number of columns. So I'm going to change this to 4. The gutter is the amount of distance between 2 columns. So how much gap is between one column and the next column. And there's your default. I'm just going to change this to 1/8 of an inch. And for our margins, I need it 1/2 an inch on all sides. So we're good for there. Everything else should remain the same. We'll say OK. And this is what our page looks like. So notice now we've got the margin on the inside, and also it's divided into 4 different columns. The little gap, there's your gutter. That's the gutter distance for what we're working with. One thing to pay attention to for our newsletter, notice that this top text, it spans 4 different columns, but the text itself is only divided into 2 columns. You as a graphic designer, when you set up margins and you set up a page layout, everything kind of falls into place. If you ever read a newspaper, newspapers have a set width of columns and everything is measured by those number of columns. So pay attention to what I say when I say span 4 columns. I want you to make a text box that literally goes 4 columns wide. But the text inside of it may only be 2 columns by themselves. Make sense? We'll test that out once we get to it. And you can kind of follow along on the right-hand side to see how I want everything to be set up. So let's jump into here. We'll start from the top down and just kind of work our way through making each little thing. The first thing I know I want to do is to put in, that's an image that says the Valley View. So I need my image box. We'll click and drag and just make one. Notice I've got it to be a specific size, 7.5 inches wide, 1.5 inches tall. Where do I look to give it a specific size? Anybody want to yell it out? Yep, top left. Here's your width and here's your height. Already got 7.5, 1.5 is what I need up there. So when I hit return, it gives it the exact size that I want it to be. We'll drop in that image, file in place. There it is. And the header is the name of this one. By the way, if you ever read a newspaper, any type of newsletter, the design at the top of a newsletter or a newspaper is called the header. And so, yeah, sometimes it's called the flag, but the design at the top is it's heading off the page. We'll place it at the top up here. It should fit nice and snug inside of there. Second one, moving down, you see it's a text box. So I'll go ahead and grab my text, draw it off. And this one, I'm going to just quickly type a, oops, got my tabs on, a Christian community. I'll hit space. To get that horizontal, or excuse me, that vertical bar, we'll hit the shift and backslash key, which is above the return, and then Winter 2012 edition. All right. Now all I got to do is be able to format it. Highlight my text. We want it to be Optima. We want it to be bold. And we want centered horizontal and vertical. So there's our horizontal. What do I need to change to get it a vertical alignment? What tool do I need to have selected? Yeah, there you go. Can't do it with the type tool. Got to use your black arrow, your selection tool. Actually, the direct selection tool, what you were saying, is the white one. Black arrow will do that. With this one selected, here's your vertical alignment, and now it'll stay vertically aligned with that one. Also notice that the should have had the text be white, but I know this one needs to be blue. We'll set that to blue, and we'll set that to white as well. Text color, paper, boom. Now I didn't give it, yeah, I did give it a specific size, so 1/2 inch, and we'll place it underneath there. That's the easy stuff, easy, easy. Now we'll start creating the headers and also the text boxes for each one. I think you know how to do this, so all I'm going to do is just copy this one over and paste the header into there, and we'll jump into doing the actual text for what we'll work from. So I'll create a new text box. We downloaded all of the text that you wanted to use, and that's what this page info.txt is all about. When you open it up, excuse me, if it opens in TextEdit, it's just going to be bare bones, just the text that you can copy from. So all I'm going to do is highlight it and copy and paste it. Copy, go into here, paste it into there. Now it's pasted, works pretty well. All I've got to do now is be able to format it. Notice that I said to span 4 columns, so the size of it is 4 columns. Let's change up the type. For some of y'all that didn't know this, if you want to quickly select all of the text, here's a keyboard shortcut to remember. Command A will select all very quickly, and that includes all the stuff that's running off to the edge down there as well. So let's set it to Optima, and we want it to be regular 11 points. Typing that in. Left aligned, 13-point leading, so that's the distance between each other. A little bit in. And I want it to be 2 columns. Remember, the columns, you can find that over the very far right-hand side. Right now it's set to 1. I'll set it to 2. Hit return. There's our 2 column. And I want to give it the first line indent of 1/4 inch. So the first line of every paragraph will be 0.25 inches. So that automatically formats everything that I have from here. If you still have the red box down at the bottom, I'll zoom in to see it, little red icon. Remember, you need to adjust the size of your text box until everything appears from here. Have I lost anybody? All doing good? Fantastic. Okay, next thing we'll need to do, if you'll notice there's a line going across it. That's easy enough. We'll use our line tool. Holding down the shift key will give me a straight line. And I'm just going to keep it at defaults, 1 point from there. Now let's get a little more complicated. I'm going to go ahead and just copy and paste in the program director and the notes. You guys already know how to make the text box. You know how to format it. So I'm going to copy and paste it. What I really wanted to show you was how to add the text wrap around specifically that picture. By the way, notice that it's spanning 2 columns, but it's got 1 column set for that one. So I'm going to grab my picture box, just make it any random size. Of course, I do say it needs to be 1 inch by 1/4 of it, 1 1/4. So let's do that. And I'm going to drop in his picture. Command D. He's the program director, so we'll place it in. Remember, if an image is too big, it's going to crop outside of the picture box that we have. If you click on the center, you get another bounding box. And you can hold down Shift and scale him in to get it in there. If you didn't hold down Shift, you're liable to stretch him out too much. Holding Shift will keep it nice and proportional, and that's what you really want for that one. If I was doing it, I would put his eyes right on that top third and maybe bring it in just a little bit more. Right about there looks good. All right, so we got him made. Let's drag him over. We'll put him right there. Now we need to wrap the text around this one. To turn it on, we need to open up our text wrap dialog box. So I don't see it. Go to Window, Text Wrap. There it is off to the side. I'll drag it over here so we can see better. We'll turn it on, just regular first one, wrap around the bounding box. So now it's all flowing nicely. And we'll give it some outset of a 1/8 of an inch on each side. So 0.125. And when I hit return, notice it does it on all sides as well. And you can see the text is now wrapping nicely around everything else that we have. All cool? Here's another fun little thing to know. Let's say you wanted to see what your document's going to look like without having all of your margins and everything on top of it, because it does kind of get in your way when you're seeing what you want to work with. So I've got my margins here. One thing I can do is go to View, and let's see, where is it? Extras. I can hide the frame edge of things. And when I do that, it gets rid of all the blue bounding boxes around each of the text boxes. So that's pretty good in itself. You can also go to View and Guides and turn off Hide Guides. Notice the command colon or semicolon will hide the guides. And now I can see my document as it would actually print. And to turn those back on, go to Extras and we'll show the frame edge, and command semicolon turns those back on as well. Even faster way. At the very bottom of your text box, excuse me, your toolbox, if you'll click on that, you get a preview of what it looks like. And it turns the entire page blanked out, so anything that's outside here won't be seen. And this previews what it would look like if it was sent to a printer. If you clicked on it, there's some other types of previews to see, but this one is the most common one to work with. To go back to normal, you can click right there, and you're back in normal editing type mode. That's just a fun thing to work with. Okay, same thing happens for this one. Set your text box. Notice there's a line in between there. You're going to crop everything to fit. So this particular picture, notice that it can be larger, but I want everything to fit nice and snug inside of there. You move it around to what you think is appropriate. Just make sure not to stretch out the image or to squish it in too much. For the second one, so I've got a text box with all the text, and I've got a text box for my header. We'll flow that in. Save you all the trouble of watching me do it. I'm going to copy this and paste it. And I'm going to make another text box. Well, let's see. That one should be 2 columns. If I am going too fast, y'all let me know. I have a tendency to do that. For my header, I'm going to make a text box, and this one is supposed to say, Track to Success. Come on, there we go. .32 points. Optima bold. Okay. And we're going to make it centered also. Just as you've set wrapping around a picture box, you can also set wrapping around a text box. So I want this to flow nicely around it. With this text box selected, you can go to the text wrap, turn it on, and it will now flow nicely around that one as well. So it's not just a picture box thing. You can do the same thing to text boxes, and that's what I wanted to show you with that one. I would then adjust the size of this text box until it fits nicely all inside of there. All cool? We would then flow in our picture. Drop it in. Yeah, that's the one. If I was, I used to do newspaper layout for the Baptist Record, and so if I got something like this, I know the most important thing to see is all the people. So all of this up here in the bottom can easily be cropped out. Nobody will complain about that. So with it selected, if I opened it, I can move it around, and it'd be okay to crop off all of that just to be able to make it fit inside of there. Whenever you do newspaper design, you got to move real quick and kind of understand what people are looking for and what they want for that one. The hardest one to do is going to be the donors. Notice that you got all of these donors, and they're all in multiple, in 4 columns. So we'll make one text box. I'm going to go ahead and set the column width for it at the top to 4. And let's get our text. This one I will let y'all watch me format it. Highlight all of this. Edit and copy. Paste it in. There we got that. Notice that even if I did change the size of this text box, it's still only 4 columns. It just happens to line up nice and neatly with what I have from there. And once you format it, it should fit perfectly inside of there. 9-point Optima regular. Very small font size. I'm also saying to turn off hyphenation. Let me show you what hyphenation is doing. Where is one? Where's a hyphenated word? Yeah. Oh, there we go. Well, there's Petal Harvey. Another thing I'm doing is I want to be able to indent properly. Right now, if I was to read each one of these, they read pretty well. First Baptist Jackson, Raymond, Emmanuel. But look at this one. Neela Dean Witten at First Baptist Church, Canton. Well, it looks like Canton is one by itself. Same thing for downhill. Petal Harvey is one word in itself. What I want to be able to do is to indent everything after this one. So here's how to do that. Select your text, Command A to select all, and we're going to set a left indent of 1/8 of an inch, and that's this first one up here. So everything is going to be moved over 0.125, but our first line indent is going to be a negative 0.125, and what that's going to do is going to bring back everything else, so negative 0.125. When I hit return, it'll pull everything else back over. But now check out my text. I've got an indentation from everything that happens to go to 2 lines, to its second line from there. All cool? By the way, to turn off hyphenation, when I say no hyphenation, that's this one right here. And I was expecting some hyphenation, but looks like it's not going to work out for that one. I'm going to leave it up to you. You guys know how to format text, to make text boxes, and to do different things. If you have any questions, of course, let me know. When you're finished with this, you're going to print it to the color printer. So you can go to File, Print, and make sure your color printer is selected from there. Also, put your name on it when you do turn it in. If you don't finish today, we're also going to work on it on Wednesday. All right.